by the reviewer behaving in this particular intellectual fashion, that I think is at the heart of really great reviewing, really great essays. Everybody wants to sleep with the person they're writing about in a metaphorical sense. And that understanding is really central. Can I do something? I want to read bits from a quasi-negative review I wrote of the first novel of an author. And I said that this author was a brand new name, had just published her first novel, big, worth praising, dense, graceful, bullying book of great length and much skill, a live tale, told in a live voice by an author of muscle and drive and ambition, etc., etc., etc. But I also said it was also messy, overextended, pompous, derivative, and bad. And I thought, okay, it's going to be a matter of time. Of course, this was a review of Liz Hatt's first novel. It took 5 years to meet Liz, but I had started the process at that point.
I think those two should see.
Most people would immediately respond by saying exactly the inverse of what you said. that you are reading a seduction. The author is trying to get you into bed or whatever. And your job is to figure out, okay, this is, you had me at hello, and then in chapter 17, it's like, oh man. So it kind of is a dialogue. It's not a one-way thing. I love a novel when I'm reading a novel, or a nonfiction book for that matter, where exactly the opposite of would happen with your Jeanette Winterson thing. When you get 2/3 of the way through thinking, I hope this stays on the title. I hope this person makes it.
I hope they pull it off.
Yeah, I just think, and then when they get to the other end, you're thinking, I'm in love with you. I just want it.
Now I'm just thinking about it. I'm just thinking about where the imaginative third-party reader fits into this. Wondering if they should come in.
Well, do you ever feel like I'll start with you, Gary. Do you ever feel when you're reading a book that you were the only, I won't say the only reader who groks it, the only reader who, but do you ever read something, just feel like none of the other reviewers out there really got this book? Even the other reviewers who raved about this book, they missed this, or they didn't get that, or they switched. Do you ever have the feeling that you were the only person who got that book?
Well, first of all, I don't read other reviews before I write a review, so it's hard to do that. But I do like to see things in a book that I think the author wanted to have there, and I'm thinking, I bet most people aren't going to see this. So there's a sense of trying to find the subtext of a book, or trying to find multiple texts within a book that you can identify. But I never think about how somebody else is going to.
No, I didn't mean that to reading the reviews ahead of time. But do you ever have the feeling after you've read, after you've reviewed a book and you've seen the other reviews, you've heard about it, do you ever feel that you're the only one who really got it, or not?
Very rarely, but it's happened on occasion. It's happened on occasion where you think that this book is a different book from what people are seeing. And this is one of the differences that we haven't really talked about yet between genre reviewing and mainstream reviewing. I will read a book and I'll review it for Locus, or I'll review it, but not for the Tribune, because it's different. And then I'll see a review in the New York Times that just is completely clueless, usually about a genre book, because they have no sense of context, they have no sense of history. They really believe that Margaret Atwood invented speculative fiction.
And they really believe that in The Buried Giant by Katsuo Ishiguro, lots of knights and soldiers clank around in armor having extended battles, because that's how they understand from their distance what a fantasy novel will contain.
Exactly.
The novel itself,
yes,
of course, contains 2 or 3 battles, but they are done as straight, as it were, renderings in prose of incidents in Kurosawa, probably Seven Samurai. Otherwise, the battles take a quarter of a second and they're over with. And that's not only something which happens, But as I felt when I was reviewing the book for LARB, they haven't published it yet because they have a new policy of sending it through 12 or 14 different readers or something. Whatever, sorry, I was waiting. I got so excited by the LRB, I forgot what I was going to say. I'm very sorry. Oh yes, it was about the Kurosawa, but that seems to be a geekish point. These battles aren't that kind of battles; they're battles that happen very quickly. But the fact is that the reference to Kurosawa allows you in, like, once again, to this particular novel's deeply moving presentation of a culture at its end. Because Kurosawa samurai movies are all about the end, a particular way of life, a particular decorum, dignity, a particular matter. She used the term with capital M. And I did read other reviews before I wrote the Kurosawa review because, on the Ishiguro review, because I was anticipating, I was correctly anticipating, that the regular press, as it were, would bugger it up. And they did very severely. And I read those because I wanted to fire myself into a pious rage. And I did so. And so 3,000 words later, I finished the review. And that was an accomplishment of. I don't think I was the only person to understand this novel. I know I'm not. But that felt like this is one of the things a reviewer can do. A review should be, in many ways, not only a seduction of the author, but also a combat that the reviewer is waging on behalf of the author.
Jess?
I'm just thinking of how reassuring that is. And you know, I would say, I've jokingly referred to a couple of you having reviewed my work, but it's true, and actually I was thinking it's an odd conjunction for me, because I think, Liz, you were the first person to review any of my work anywhere.
Oh, really?
Print.
I remember
Yeah.
that book.
He was in fantasy and science fiction.
Yeah.
And you know, that one sentence, because it was a story in an anthology, and so there was one sentence there, but nonetheless there was that sentence, and it felt it was such an encouragement, and I could tell that you did understand exactly what I was doing, and having that moment of connection really was it was galvanizing in a way, and so I do think about that. I mean, maybe that is why reading these reviews can feel so fraught sometimes, is because we're hoping for that moment where it seems as though, okay, somebody got it, somebody whose opinion matters to me got it, and maybe I can deepen this conversation with the next thing I do.
It's a wonderful feeling for someone to be seen, to be understood, and it's lovely. I really enjoyed the reviews of my work, and I really enjoyed your reviews of my work. And I know that you've reviewed a short story at one very long time.
Very. I've never actually had a chance to review your book.
But it is just, it is a really nice feeling.
Liz, you've used the term rocking to talk about when somebody actually gets what you're doing, and it's a useful term from a stranger in the screenplay, I guess. But I can understand that, because there's another author, and this is not boastful, but it's similar to your story. An author who many of you would know had published her first short story in an anthology. Actually, I'll tell you about this later, because it was your anthology. And she was about ready to give up writing until she saw a review I wrote pointing out her stories, what I thought was the best in the anthology. You know what I'm talking about.
I think that's important. I think that's something about revealing that you can't, obviously you can't do it as a sop to a writer, throw them a bone, but I think especially for emerging writers, for younger writers, for newer writers, for writers who, for whatever reason, have not had their work published, or even if it has been published, not had it be widely read. I think it's very important as a reviewer to want to look for those writers and those works if possible. And I always feel very fortunate if I have a forum in which somebody is new, there's a new voice, like with your first novel, or a short story, something like that, because it does make a huge difference. I remember what a difference it made for me. And I know for, seeing other younger writers, or, not even younger writers, emerging writers coming out, it makes such a big difference. And I think that's so much more. I'm not talking about, Amazon reviews that are just working on a 5-star system. But to have somebody like you, reviewing something in one of your columns and singling out a story, I think that can make a huge difference to someone.
And I think to me, the most enjoyable thing as a reviewer is, and this very rarely happens, is getting a book with virtually no advance publicity. You don't know who the author is. You know nothing. You may know who the publisher is. And the example I like to give is the ARC, the advanced reading copy that Small Beer Press originally sent out for Sophia Samatar's A Stranger in a Laundry. It had no information on it at all. It had the title, the author's name, and that was it. I had no idea what this was. And so you're reading a book in absolute vacuum. You have, because if I were to review a book by James Patterson, I know he can send black helicopters after me if he wants to. He can have me killed. He can have my university shut down. He can buy my apartment building. But this is somebody I have no idea who it is, and then you're just really hoping this is a good book, because then you feel like you found something.
Yeah, you found the diamond.
You found the diamond. Absolutely.
We're at the point where we can start to take questions.
Yeah.
So,
Thank you.
gentlemen there, yes?
Yeah, first of all, I just admire everyone's worked so tremendously on this panel. But I especially have to single out Gary and John, who are two of the gods of SF criticism as far as I'm concerned. Some of you know I used to review for PW and then for SF Chronicle and for a little while for Asmon. And I just wanted to follow up on what Gary just said. To me, so there were a lot of pleasures to it in terms of people agreeing with you, which is always nice, or sometimes disagreeing with you in an interesting way. But to me, I agree. The best thing were those surprises where something you didn't know anything about showed up. And my example was the first novel by Jonathan Carroll, The Land of Laughs. I read it for PW. I was probably the first real SF fan in the world to read it outside of the company. They had it there. And I was blown away by it, even though it was a little flawed at the end. It was just such an amazing book. And I got to go around for a few months telling everybody about it when it showed up on in the bookstores. And that was just such a fun thing, the privilege of being the first. And I still treasure that.
That's a treasure.
Hey, so one of the questions I had is both Jed and Nicola mentioned the experience of a positive review that had a sentence in it that was a little bit negative. John and Gary and Liz, the question is, what pressure do you feel when you have a book that you just love to salt it a little bit with just that little bit of, well, it wasn't perfect.
Well, it's always possible to find something like that, and it's rhetorically useful. Say, although X, comma, look at the genius here. And that allows the word, the part of the review that speaks of the review.
But is it part of the image of objectivity?
I don't believe in objectivity at all. I don't think that term has come up yet. It may come up inferentially in the sense that if one is viewing years later and writing a scholarly work, a piece about something and using it as an example. But even that's missing, and if you do manage it, the piece is so awful boring and unuseful that there's no point in having it in the first place.
Teaching university for years, objectivity is not a book review, it's a book report. That's what you want 8th graders to turn in to prove they've read the book. But anyway, let's go
ahead. Greg, and then the woman next to you. So.
I'm interested in what you said about the mixed review and the odd power of it, like an unstable chemical compound that could go in any directions, and how they can be oddly compelling and oddly, because in my own experience, the review I wrote that got the most explosive response from an author who went to extraordinarily lengths to make his anger shown, and heralded after me to the end of his life, and after that has people saying what he did to that reviewer was so horrible, it must have been a terribly unfair review, which I haven't read, but it must have been, because what he did was, in fact, a mixed review. Which no one now believes, because it appeared in the Washington Post before they went online, so they have to take the guy's word how vicious it was. But there is something about a mixed review that...
Far more deadly.
Yeah.
It seems to be, yeah. But I find the reviews at either end of the spectrum just uninteresting. I mean, I think all of us here who write reviews have probably had the same complaint from publishers who are friends of ours. We're not very workable. You don't rate one of the year's 10 best on every review. But completely negative reviews.
I lie awake at that.
When I read an attack review, my first reaction is, why did you finish the book? Why are you reviewing this book at all?
Right.
And if I read a completely, promotional review, I think you aren't saying anything interesting about the book. So a mixed review, it seems to me, is the only review that can legitimately be called a critical act.
Yeah, so I come from a background of academic nonfiction writing, and I do book writing and some reviews. And I know one of the big problems there is authorial intent, right? So when you're reviewing something, for example, somebody's reviewing a book of philosophy, they always end up writing their version of what that book should have been in the review. And I was wondering to what extent, when you're doing reviewing fiction, authorial intent really kind of goes out the window. You're like, well, if I were writing this book, this is what it would look like, and the author didn't match that, therefore. So I'm just wondering, if
One of the first radio reviews I did in this country, one of the things I ended up talking about was, I was reviewing at the time for the Southern Voice, a queer newspaper in the South. And I talked about one of my early lessons as a reviewer was to never write about a book I wished it had been, but to just address the book as it was. So I don't know if that answers your question, but I have steered very clear of what I would have done. I mean, I'll talk to my friends about, oh my God, if they had just done that.
I was thinking about metaphor. I think of reviewers as cultivating the garden of Fantastica. I know John and Gary, I guess, both are screwing the garden or something. Screwing the garden?
Seeding.
Do any of the others of you have a sort of a working metaphor for what you do when you review?
Reading and thinking.
I have a positional one, as I put it as a title, one of the books I collected, Canary in the Coal Mine. That you're out there, and like as Gary was saying, you don't know what you're going to find, and what you find may bite you, it may, as it were, kill you spiritually, at least anesthetize you spiritually.
Actually, I do have a metaphor in my head sometimes when I review. It's like running alongside a horse. Running, just gradually steering the horse by running alongside it. Just learning what that is.
Who's the horse, the author or the word?
Oh,
You see?
Thank you all very much.
lot of people who do that. Like that's the dirty cellar of junk. The dirty cellar of junk is like
Well, it was not only the kind of that, it was bad level, it was badly edited. Every kind of bad.
To be fair, the page novel that I just had not set but not
and here he's got a whole career.
Look is going